Hello and welcome to episode 29 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is February 19th, and together with Goran and Robert, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
So in recent weeks, there was quite a lot of noise around low-code, no-code developments. SAP has acquired AppGyver, there is SAP Room, then there's this collaboration with SAP with Mendix. So today what we want to talk about is the Power Platform and how it can integrate with SAP. For this, we have Marysol as our special guest, but before we switch to her, let's quickly take a look at what happened this week. And actually, I want to start with a big thank you, because we have reached over 2,000 subscribers to our SAP on Azure channel here on YouTube. So a big thank you to everyone who already has subscribed, and to those of you who have not yet subscribed, please go over here to the subscribe button and click it. And as always, there are some videos where there's really a lot of discussions or comments happening. So feel free really to add your comments to the videos, engage with us. I think obviously we have a good pipeline of additional topics and speakers, but if there are some topics that you would like us to address, then let us know. And Goran, Robert, and we're more than happy, I would say, to address these topics as well. So again, big thank you, and let's see how we can grow this number even further. Topic-wise, the first thing that we want to start is this blog from Anjan about ASCS HA clustering. So I think we have talked a lot about HA cluster, but here it's especially also with failover to disaster recovery using Azure Site Recovery. So I think for those of you who are not familiar, Azure Site Recovery is actually a beautiful solution, a PaaS service on Azure that allows you to replicate your virtual machines from your primary region. So for example, let's say Western Europe to a peered region like, for example, Europe North. And in this block, we outline, or Anjan outlines, how you can set up also your ASCS cluster with disaster recovery using Azure Site Recovery. So I think this looks like, again, a very detailed blog with lots of information on how to set it up. So the different steps are outlined. What do we need to configure on what site? So I think this can be quite interesting information if you want to also have disaster recovery.
And the blog is specific to Linux pacemaker cluster, and also he's talking about using some NFS file share, either Azure files, or maybe an ANF as well would be an option, which has a known possibility to replicate it. Definitely, I mean, I would say interesting blog, because this is also what those of us who are working with the customer, default is A, we want an HA, and B, many of them by default, I want a DR. Then how to do it, and even to have an HA on another site. So Azure Site Recovery might be an also nice way to implement in a kind of simple or more simple way this actually a complex scenario, so to say.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. The next thing that I want to talk about, which again I think shows this beauty of Microsoft running SAP by themselves. So we are a big SAP customer. We run SAP for our business critical stuff basically. And obviously with this we had Hans Reuter talking a lot about how Microsoft runs SAP. And obviously one thing that he mentioned was this functionality that or this idea that a lot of our systems are snoozed by default. So that you have SAP systems that are fully installed, but the virtual machine is actually shut down, so that at some point in time, if you need it, you can actually start it up. And so what Goran and Martin have done obviously for internal purposes, but similar like with the ABAP SDK for Azure or other functionalities, they put now out this proof of concept, or this idea of how you can work with your SAP system on GitHub. But Goran, maybe you can outline a little of what we are doing here.
Yeah. So just to mention, so this is an open source stuff. So Microsoft is not standing behind it. There is no support there, right? So it's free to use, free to troubleshoot it by yourself, free to extend it. So no official product or solution from Microsoft side as well. I mean, the official one is from SAP side, the Llama and Llama Cloud edition, for example. So, but anyway, there are many we're using internally. There's always some special use cases and special demands, so we were basically addressing this. It's not a Microsoft IT solution. We talked to them. We are also planning to collaborate here. But so in this edition, it's basically enhanced version in the sense that we handle the stopping of the SAP system, handling stopping also the databases, currently HANA and SQL Server is implemented, converting the disk to save the stuff. So this is what basically I was more working on the backend part. Also you have ability to schedule it, but on the front end part, which again shows nice by the fast track guys, the Martin and actually Robert Bureau. So they were implementing the Power App, again, nice application, which is exactly so calling my background stuff and also offering possibility for the end user who are really using those kind of stuff in an easy way to get the status and start and stop, and basically also to do a reservation. So that's also special feature request from our internal community. So they're having a share SAP environment used for demo purposes and different stuff. So they want to reserve the stuff and use only for themselves and not the other. So that's basically something which we have. So you can take a look and basically try to use it. So hopefully it will be not difficult to set it up. Yeah.
But for me, again, the beautiful thing is this is something that is where we internally have a requirement to do something, in this specific case for the fast track team, to have this, so the Azure fast track team, which help customers in implementing SAP systems on Azure. And obviously they have their own environment. They had a certain need to do something, and they developed this for their own. But then they saw there's a huge benefit also for other customers. So that's why it's now also published on GitHub. And as you said, there is no official support. Yeah. But if you want to use it, just go to GitHub and create pull requests even, or create issues if you want to enhance or something like this. Okay, then switching over to the next topic. For months now, or maybe even years, there was the SAP NetWeaver Developer Edition. It's available on the Cloud Appliance Library, for example. I'm an active user of it because it's an easy way to get started, to play around, to have your own SAP system. And now SAP released an updated Developer Edition. And the beautiful thing with this ABAP Platform 1909 Developer Edition is that they are shipping this as a Docker image. So installing is really, really easy. Actually, you need to have a big machine, or actually we can also try to deploy it on Azure. But if you want to give it a try on your own machine, then you obviously need to. Now I'm not logged in, of course, but there are the steps outlined that you need to do. Basically, you download the or you do a Docker run, and you fetch the image from here, the Docker Hub, and after some time, it takes some time, but then you're ready to go, and then you have an ABAP Platform 1909 Developer Edition where you can run your own ABAP developments. There are some cool features with GCTS already embedded. Yeah, here we go. So this is really something easy to set up, and I think it's definitely worth to check this out. Okay, so with this, let's go to the next thing. Just this week, a new Gartner Magic Quadrant was released, and although I am not the expert in the whole analytics piece, remember we had Roman some time back who really talked a lot about the whole data integration, the analytics scenarios. But obviously with Power BI, Microsoft plays a major role in this whole analytics area. And yeah, I think this is nicely reflected in this latest Gartner quadrant. So you can see Microsoft is clearly there in the leader quadrant with the Power BI solution. There's actually a link also to the full Gartner report available. You can read through it, some of the ideas why this ranking was made. So I think that's also definitely, if you are interested in Power BI, I think this is definitely something yeah, that is interesting to know. The next thing is Dapr. I'm actually not sure if we had spoken about Dapr in this podcast, but in some other webinars, I've definitely spoken already or talked about Dapr. Because when I first heard it, I think it was an Ignite keynote 2 years ago, or I'm not 100% sure, or no, maybe, yeah, maybe October 19th. There was a beautiful demo that really showed how you can bring in different languages, development languages together, while still contributing more or less to the same project. And Dapr allows you then here really with this distributed application development, and it's now in release 1.0. And the interesting thing here, you can see it actually pretty nice, that this is not something that is exclusive to Microsoft or something like that. It's really an environment that runs on any cloud, and that really allows you to use almost whatever development framework you want to use. ABAP is not there yet, but other than that, I think it's a pretty comprehensive framework to use.
So is this on SCP actually running and using underlying different cloud infrastructure? Do you know it?
No, it's not SCP. So the SAP Cloud Platform is not yet using this. I mean, not that there are discussions, but this is really a framework that you can deploy on the major cloud providers. Okay. So on Azure, AWS, Google, Ali Cloud, Kubernetes. So this is something that you can run on your own. I don't even think there's a hosted environment yet for this, but this is just something that you can implement. And what is interesting is the customer size. They're actually named here as one of the reference customers that already started it. So they have implemented Dapr for their for one of their specific scenarios. And the nice thing, obviously, from my perspective, is that it does even include an SAP system. So this is really a solution that bridges a lot of different components, but it also really interacts with the SAP system. So I thought that was also a very nice scenario. And it was good to see that in this announcement, we are already from the very beginning talking about SAP integrations. Okay, so with this, we are left with 3 webinar announcements, I would say. So the first one is SAP on Azure Integration and Beyond. So I think that's definitely something that is really, really interesting because we're not talking only about infrastructure, but we are really talking about integrating how can we use the SAP Cloud Platform, or now we should say the SAP Business Technology Platform services, how we can combine this with Azure services and then really create new scenarios out of it. So I think our colleague Sachin is involved in this quite intensively. So I think this is definitely a webinar that is also worth checking out. Another one is since we are talking about the Power Platform today, is a webinar with the Coca-Cola company that talk about their experience, how they implemented Power Virtual Agents, Power Automate, RPA, and Power Apps to use this to connect also to their SAP systems. And I think that also provides you with a good use case of how the Power Platform can be used to integrate non-SAP, but also SAP-specific solutions. And finally, last webinar that I want to highlight is a webinar that happens on March 10th. It's also about extending SAP solutions using Microsoft Platform. So here we are explicitly focusing on using the Power Platform to extend SAP solutions. Obviously, I mean, there is SAP Fiori. You can do a lot of development there. But when you want to go to the low-code, no-code area, then obviously Power Platform can play an important part in this whole extension, and that's what we'll focus on in this specific.
Holger is the main speaker, one of the main speakers. Yeah,
I'm one of the speakers.
Not to forget. Yeah.
Thank you. So Ronald, actually from the Power Platform marketing team, is also providing a really beautiful overview of the Power Platform, and I'll try to focus more on the integration with SAP.
Yeah, cool.
But actually, with this, we have a beautiful segue over to Marysol, who can tell us a little more about, and actually show us a little about how this integration of Power Platform and SAP works. And with this, Marysol, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, and then I'm really looking forward to the demos and presentations that you've brought us.
Thank you. Yes, well, it's an honor to be here actually, because I am a big fan of this channel. I mean, I've learned so much from your videos and everything that you guys have done in the past. So yeah, very, very nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name, as you say, is Marysol Mantilla. I joined Microsoft in June last year after many, many years at SAP. I'm not going to say how many, you know, the gray hair and all of that. No.
So welcome to the club, you know.
Thank you. 16 great years at SAP, and when I moved to Microsoft, I knew my work at SAP was going to be useful, and my experience and my let's say everything that I've done there was going to be in a way something that I could maybe use in some way. But I never thought it was going to be like this. My husband laughs because he's like, you move from SAP to Microsoft, or you speak about SAP all day. So I don't understand what you're doing. And it's true, because it's a great place to be. But also I have been I think in a moment where there has been a massive increase on demand on this conversation, specifically on the Power Platform plus SAP. So I joined Microsoft in a team that is called the Global Black Belts for Power Platform in EMEA. I joined as a senior technical specialist for Power Platform, but I think probably 90% of my time is talking about Power Platform plus SAP. Okay, so I do other things in theory, but I don't have time to do much. So most of my conversations with customers internally, everything is about these two together, you know, this topic. So I want to kind of maybe do a quick refresh of what Power Platform is, just in case that there is someone from your new subscribers, and I'm sure you will get to 3,000 quite quickly, but you know, that they don't know about Power Platform. And you mentioned it already in some of your news there, but yeah, so the Power Platform is Microsoft low-code and no-code platform, and it works with a lot of different products from Microsoft, of course, like Office, Dynamics, and Azure, but also you can create your own standalone applications, and you can work with a lot of different applications together, like SAP in our examples today. Power BI is one of the components of the Power Platform, and you were saying how we are at the moment with Power BI. So it's a great place to work from an analytics perspective, to create amazing insights and dashboards and actions also, because you can put that part into your intelligent kind of reporting and dashboard. So Power BI, of course, probably known by a lot of people. You know, you see it on the Gartner as a leader. Power Apps is the place where you can go and create mobile apps and desktop apps. And I mean, for me, this was a massive surprise, how easy it is really, and how great the tool is. So if you can use PowerPoint, if you can do some formulas on Excel, just go and use Power Apps and create your app. It's literally like that. There are different types of apps really that you can create. So and there is also a concept of model-driven apps that are more complex scenarios where you have also a database underneath and you can create your business processes there with business rules, etc. But Power Apps is the place to go if you require some type of application development. Again, low code, no code. Then is Power Automate, and Power Automate gives you the opportunity to automate your processes and look at a workflow. It could be something simple, just one step, something to approve. Maybe I want to trigger a process when an email arrives to my inbox with some attachments, and I want to move those attachments into a different folder. I don't know. We have a lot of examples around and templates to help you. It also has RPA capabilities. So if there is automation needed for your desktop applications, for web applications, there is RPA capabilities. And then we also have Power Virtual Agents. That is the way to create your chatbots, natural language, something that you can go and talk to, and then give you access to functionality and systems. At the bottom, you see some functionality that is available for the whole platform. Dataverse is an amazing database service with a data model that is easy to understand, to reuse, to enhance, with, of course, all the security in place, role-based, etc. is there for you. And there is something called AI Builder that provides AI capabilities to the platform in an easy way. Of course, in Azure, we have great services that you can use from an AI point of view. But if we look at how AI Builder is used in Power Platform, this is really easy. I mean, there is something like sentiment analysis ready to go that you can use it straight away. There is the opportunity to create models for other scenarios that is very easy, again, to create. For example, if you want to have a PDF that you want to get the data out of that PDF and include it into your processes or your applications, is very, very straightforward and easy to use. So that's kind of the Power Platform. Some of these, of course, are used on its own, like Power BI, or some companies use only Power Apps, but definitely better together as a platform. So I hope that kind of refreshes the idea, and also for people that hasn't heard of the Power Platform, it gives you a quick understanding.
Perfect.
Now, today I want to talk about connectivity options with SAP. And this is kind of a busy slide, but I just wanted to put everything in one, and I got this idea from a colleague that I think is great to position in general what happens from SAP perspective if you want to use Power Platform to extend that SAP system. Okay, so there are a lot of scenarios where you will say, well, I need point-to-point connectivity. Okay, I need to create something in Power Platform, a Power App or something that is going to require to make a call and then get a response back. So that is one of the options that you have available. Also, for some scenarios, RPA is there, so that is available from a Power Automate perspective. So yeah, so Power Automate will be there for you to be able to connect, to help you connect using the 400. I don't know if I mentioned in the previous slide, but we have 400 and something connectors, and in those 400 and something connectors, there is an SAP ERP connector, and there is also the opportunity to create your own connectors. So if you require to work with your SAP system, you have different options. What are you going to use? What is the best way? really depends of many things. It depends of your integration strategy with that SAP system, in what is available. Maybe that system is something that is not API enabled yet, or maybe it's more difficult to get access to how you are going to work from an API perspective, but you are an end user from a GUI perspective, and you want to maybe automate those repetitive tasks that you do in the GUI at the moment, in the Windows GUI. So use Power Automate with RPA capabilities. So that's one option. Maybe you already have a lot of out-of-the-box BAPIs and custom RFCs that you have created through the years that you want to reuse and have it available in your Power Platform components. Could be a virtual agent, or could be a Power App, or whatever, a process. Then you can use the SAP ERP connector that is available. And there are some companies that they prefer to go with maybe an OData API, or they have an API-based strategy. You may have even an API management solution. I mean, there is different options here, and then the custom connector is there to help you. Or maybe you want to talk to SuccessFactors, for example, to the SuccessFactors APIs or other SAP products that they are SaaS products that they provide access through APIs. Then that way you can also work with custom connectors.
So do you have so your SAP system is it must to be in Azure, or it can be anywhere? Could be on premise, could be whatever. So how would you connect it?
Very, very, very good question. So it can be anywhere. So that's why here we kind of we are not specifying one specific system. Of course, depending on the version that you are on, and again your strategy, etc., you may have more options or less options. But your SAP system could be on-prem. It could be on Azure. It could be somewhere else. It doesn't really matter. If your system is available, on-prem, for example, if you want to connect to your system that is on-prem, you may require some extra components that I will explain a little bit more later, like an on-prem, we call it the on-prem data gateway, that is going to give you that secure tunnel to be able to get to that system. But if we are talking about an application like a SaaS product from SAP, then of course the interaction can be a little bit different. But yes, it can be anywhere.
Excellent. So full flexibility here and hybrid mode. So either Azure or on premise or on the Mars.
Exactly. And what we see more and more is that customers that they are on Azure, probably they already know about this because or they are looking into the direction of using Power Platform for many scenarios. Customers that they are still on-prem but planning to move to the cloud, they see this as a great starting point for that, and start providing maybe a different way of interaction, a different way to do things to simplify their processes, or have simplify ways of working with our SAP system even before they upgrade to S/4HANA or they move to the cloud.
Great.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute, because that is what my demos are about, is kind of the point-to-point connectivity. I just want to cover the rest of the options just to give an idea of what else is in there. And what we see in other customers also is the use of logic apps, for example, to integrate, to be able to connect to SAP. And it's great that Holger was showing the access to the webinar where they talk about the Coca-Cola example, because that is what I wanted to kind of mention here. And if you go to that webinar, then you will get more information about how Coca-Cola is using Power Platform and all the Microsoft products, Azure, etc., to improve the way that they work and be more productive. So here you see Power Apps being used to create an application in a low-code way, very, very fast. But the rest of the process, the rest of the work that is needed, they decided to do it with Azure services because it's more complex. It requires other stuff, and they went with the Azure direction. So, for example, this is an application, well, let's say a whole solution that was created for Coca-Cola to manage events, because they sell products directly to the for events, to the customers. And there was a lot of manual processing. The manager was kind of doing stuff in Excel to create the invoicing and then going and writing maybe on the SAP system manually. There was a lot of room for errors and just, everything manual. So they created an app on Power App that the manager can go and put all the information that they need to set up the event. Then by using Logic Apps, they create kind of the integration with SAP on Azure, and also they work with Dynamics for the creation of the orders and the invoicing, etc. And also this whole solution generates a website for the event, where there is a portal for the event that the customer is going to be able to use to create all the orders and to define all of the things that are needed for that event. And there is even integration into a payment gateway that in the past that was completely separate, and the customer has to do it themselves to be able to get the payments for the events. So there is a lot of other information from Coca-Cola and how this is being used, but I just wanted to point out that there could be scenarios where we see a combination of the Power Platform work with Azure services for maybe more complex scenarios that they are required. The other thing that we see a lot when we think about SAP and Power Platform being used is that maybe is getting that data that lives in SAP at the moment and move it somewhere else for other purposes. So, for example, you could integrate directly into Dataverse and bring data from SAP into Dataverse for further processing, for further use in the Power Platform. Or we see, for example, with Azure services, again, bringing data from SAP and maybe from other sources, and even Edge or IoT data and a lot of other things, and then through Azure services, data lakes, data factories, etc., making it available to the Power Platform components. So this is also some interesting use cases that are happening in our customers. We also have partners working in a lot of solutions. We also have customers creating their own custom solutions with combination of things, including maybe SAP products too. So a combination of Microsoft and SAP products, and using the Power Platform in some of those elements. And I just wanted to point out here, I like that term of reverse integration also, where we see, for example, that from a Fiori Launchpad perspective, you could call Power Apps. So have that integration where from the SAP world, you can also call a Power Platform components and content that has been created like Power Apps to be able to integrate and provide this type of access to the users.
That's actually one of the scenarios that I very much like, because obviously with the Fiori Launchpads, there are a lot of companies that really like using these applications. And keep in mind, there are hundreds and thousands actually of predefined SAP Fiori applications that SAP provides. So I think that's, I mean, it just makes sense to use them. And now if I can integrate Power Apps applications into the very same Launchpad, into the very same UI, that for me as an end user, I can use these 5 SAP Fiori applications, but I can also use these 2 Power Apps, and I don't need to jump around and use different user interfaces, but I just log on to the SAP Fiori Launchpad. I see everything that I need there, and some of them might be native SAP Fiori applications, and others are Power Apps that I'm using. So I think this combination is extremely powerful.
Yeah, and the other way around, where you have teams maybe call it Fiori apps, and then you have that flexibility. It's all about those end users, isn't it? So it's all about that productivity that is required, is being in the right place and having the right access, depending on what you need. But make it as easy as possible, that you don't need and you don't require a lot of development to. And
they can choose, I mean, what they want, so to say. Exactly. You don't have to force them use this or use that. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the idea. So yes, I think probably a lot of people can start imagine some use cases, something that will require maybe the stuff on the middle, some stuff that will make more sense on the left. You know, that is the idea of providing these options. But now we are gonna concentrate on the point-to-point. Specifically today, I want to talk about the custom connector type of integration and the ERP connector that calls BAPIs or RFCs. So if we first talk about the custom connector, this is something that you could try straight away. And I know Holger did a video a few months ago where he showed the creation of the custom connector, but we wanted to show it again because it has been, let's call it simplified. It's faster to test it if you want to try it out, and I think it's important to have a look. So let me just quickly jump to my system if I have it open. Okay, so I am in Power Apps. Actually, before I go to Power Apps, there is a GitHub that provides a whole set of information here about a sample connector for the for an OData service. This connector works with the ES5 system that is available from SAP as a gateway system that is available in internet for testing purposes and learning purposes. So you can use that same system, and if you don't know, well, here it tells you how to sign up to that system, and I'm sure there is a lot of people that already has access to this test system from SAP, but it's using that. If you read the description in GitHub, it will tell you to create the connector and deploy the connector and publish the connector. So there is few things that you have to do. But recently we have simplified the creation of that connector. So if you go to custom connectors in Power Apps and you just go and try to create a new connector, and of course, as soon as you start here, you have import from GitHub, and then in this case, because it's just a custom connector that has been created as an example, you have the opportunity to choose the OData demo. So this is going to give you, it's very good because it gives you that starting point. And if you want to understand how it's done, of course, to test it, you will need to have already a user ID and password on that SAP system, that the gateway system. But that's it. You just do continue and then it will kind of create a connector. Of course, you can adapt it to your needs and change the icon or change the name. I'll change the name here. Identify it. So I have few demos probably already there. So you see this is pointing to the ES5 system. In this case, we are working with user ID and password. Of course, there is other methods of authentication where you are working with custom connector. So when you're really creating the custom connector, probably you will have to look into what is the best option for your custom connector. In this case, I'll just leave it like that. And here I see all of the different actions that they are available from the OData service. It's an OData service that is there that is called the GW sample, and it has a lot of very good ways to interact with the system. So you can get products and I think sales order, business partners, and you can even write on the SAP system to create a product, etc. So it's a great way to learn and test it. For each of these actions, you will be able to, of course, understand how the request looks like and what kind of query parameters are available. You can also can look at the response and where it's going to come back for each of the actions. Yeah, and of course you can change this and adapt it to your needs, like putting default value somewhere or whatever you want. You can also always look at the Swagger editor if you want to go and have a look and understand how that is.
Oh, great.
There are, of course, other ways that you can create the custom connector. This is just a quick kind of type of learning exercise and to give you an understanding of how it works. But then if you have a Swagger file, for example, let's say for a SuccessFactors API, you have the Open API file or the Swagger file from API Business Hub. You can use that to start the creation of your custom connector and speed up the creation of that. And when you're ready, you just create the connector, and this is gonna be available to test it, to user in Power Apps, to user in your Power Virtual Agent, to user in your Power Automate flows, whatever you require. And I'm gonna test it quickly just to show you. To test it, you will need to create a connection. So I'll just make sure I have my connection here. I would require, of course, a user ID and password. This is, of course, of the SAP system, the AS5 system. And then if that is correct and it adds the connection, you can go back to your custom connector and test it. And let me just find it. What did I find it?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I can jump straight to my test, and then I don't know. You can use maybe some of these if you want or whatever, and then go and have a look in there.
Nice.
After this is just using the connector really. The other thing that you can do if you want to test it from a Power App is you come here to your GitHub, find this document that is called APM Product Demo Starter App that was created by Samir to give us like a starting point and just learn. Then go to Power Apps and let's just create a new app, well, maybe from here. I show you, for example, a Canvas app. Open this, browse. I downloaded somewhere. I hope it's here. Oh yeah, see, 5 times I've downloaded recently. See, I told you I'm talking about this all day long. You know, I see just the customers, they want to understand this. They see the benefit of understanding how you can use with SAP Power Platform. So you see, of course, I have some errors here because it's not connected to the data yet. So I just go here, data, connectors, find my connector, whatever it's called, February 2021. And then, of course, it's my same user, so that the connection has been stored for me. And then if I test this, then it's
nice.
there, and then that's bringing the data from the SAP system. So that is a quick way to learn. And of course, what you are gonna be able to do here is then start using this in your scenarios. Is look into how the specific app is created and how it interacts with the connector. In this case, it's using the connector to call it directly to get a list of products. In the GitHub, I'm not going to do that today. It explains also if you want to change a product. If you want to change a product, you will have to create a Power Automate flow and provide extra steps for the authentication part. It's all explained there in the GitHub. But it's very straightforward too. So you will have to create something like this where you are going to update the product, pass the data, and it will just work. So it's all explained there, and it's a great way to start and learn about integration, Power Platform SAP using OData services. Yeah,
love it.
Okay, quickly, I'm not going to create the whole thing, but just to show you something else that I wanted to do. The other connector is the ERP connector that is available. And I was talking to some customers the other day, and they were saying how great it will be to have, for example, in Teams, the opportunity to query SAP for something, invoice status or anything, just simple stuff. That will be life-changing for some companies. They said, just being able to, where I work most of my day, that Teams is a new thing. You kind of have the opportunity to go and ask something to SAP, and SAP just comes back, say, invoice status is this. And I know, Holger, you have done this before with the Power Virtual Agent querying using the same type of connector that we use for the Power App in the previous part, using it for a bot, a bot that queries something about a product. But what I wanted to do was doing the same thing, but instead of doing it with an OData service, do it with a BAPI, because a lot of customers will still use a lot of BAPIs, or they don't have as much OData capabilities, or they are not in S/4HANA yet, so they don't have as many OData services. They haven't really looked into installing and having an SAP gateway in place. So they are working in a classic SAP way with BAPIs and custom RFCs. So this is also possible. So you could have a chatbot that calls a BAPI, and then that BAPI answers with something. So if you want to get the whole thing about the virtual agents, I think probably we can add the link of your video, Holger, where you explain it step by step how this is created. I want to just go straight to the part where it's different because of the BAPI. So if I go, for example, this is one that I create that it gets material and it has a lot of topics. So, I can chat to this bot and do a lot of stuff. But specifically the SAP material part where, I put some trigger phrases to be able to start this conversation going. In this bot, when I ask a question, like based on those phrases, the bot is going to ask me what material ID or product ID you are looking for, and then it's going to pass that to a flow. And that flow, that maybe I just open it quickly to show you. And that flow is going to get that ID that is coming from the user that is chatting to the bot, and then passing it to SAP by using a connection that uses BAPIs. So this is, again, classic SAP ERP work. And then here you are going to see that, of course, when you are creating this type of connectivity, then you will need to have access to the SAP system, provide all the system details. You will need to create a connection. You will need to have a user ID and password, or there is also a way to configure like Windows authentication and single sign-on, so that there is parameters here that they are all related about the connectivity. But this is just classic SAP type of connection. And actually, as you type here, maybe if I can just delete, this is kind of searching in SAP. You see that it gives me the options available for the BAPI. So this is already connected to the SAP system, giving me the BAPIs available. That in this case, I want the get detail BAPI, and I'm passing as a parameter the material ID that is coming from the virtual agent. So when I chat, then it's coming to the virtual agent. I request whatever I get from that material ID, and I give it back to the virtual agent. So we can do something like, maybe I tested like that. I think I published it already. Oh, thank you very much. Let's go back to tested. Is that my bot? That's not my bot. Great. Let me just go back home. Is that my bot material?
Yeah, I think that was it, yeah.
If he wants to answer. Thank you very much. I put different phrases, but just to keep it short. Sorry, this system has funny IDs for so I just use that one. Hopefully it will come back with that, and then yeah, you can of course go back to your flow and monitor that. That one is 10 seconds ago, so yes, that one, and then you can of course see the process of the flow. But this is, this is something that for some companies, it's very straightforward. It will be very different. Well, here I'm testing it here just in the Power Virtual Agents. Of course, that could be, embedded in Teams and available for the people that requires to query the material details for some reason.
Yeah.
In this case.
And obviously,
does that make sense?
Yeah, and obviously, as you've shown, this is just one BAPI that you're calling, and in this specific case, now you need to enter the material ID, but this could be anything. I mean, you could also ask for the name, and then maybe have another BAPI that first looks up the name and then matches this to the product ID, and then does an additional query and retrieves some additional information. So I think the beautiful thing here is really the connection to the SAP system and how easy it actually is to make this work.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Here, it could be anything. It could be anything from, any of the connectors, because that's the other thing that is quite magic. That, okay, perfect. In this case, I'm talking to virtual agents, but if you look at adding extra stuff, I mean, you have hundreds of actions that you can do here. You can, I don't know, if you're required to write things on Excel. I was having a conversation with a customer. They were very interested about Office plus SAP. I was like, well, it's not Office plus SAP anymore. We're talking about Power Platform and having all this stuff available. It's not about dumping data in Excel from SAP like we used to do from the GUI and download and then do something with that Excel spreadsheet. It's about making it work in the right way. So yeah. So that's what I wanted to show, Holger. I don't know if that's okay.
Perfect. No, I think that's really great. And I mean, I love the way how you present this, and also, I mean, with your experience, with your background with SAP, and now your focus also on the Power Platform, I think it's really amazing how you can bring these two worlds together. So thank you very much. I think that
it's been crazy to be honest, because the interest from a customer's perspective to understand how these two worlds can work together without, I mean, it's very good, the conversation, because in my experience, when I was talking to SAP customers, then we talk about Fiori, we talk about this, and as you said before, there are so many scenarios where Fiori is the answer, the Fiori is available, Fiori is out of the box, but there are so many cases, and now we going into a more crazy world of remote working, of all of that. Is when we need to be productive. It's when we need to be able to spend the time in the right things, and then that's when RPA kicks in. I mean, the conversations of RPA working, of course, with SAP are great, and with all the other applications in looking into those scenarios of triggering things on teams that they get approved, and then after they go and get written on SAP, and it's great.
So I'm just thinking about how would customer face look like when you show them this demo, and how easily you can do it, right? So how would be their reaction? Yeah,
it's amazing. It's very good, because it's that feeling of we can help you to do more, and there is room for everyone here. There is that thing of, if you connect Power Platform to SAP, you can have business people that they really understand their query, they really understand what they need and what the struggles or whatever they are doing currently manually that they want to automate or whatever, and they can do it themselves without compromising, the governance or the control or the security of that SAP system. So it's very good when we have the conversations with the SAP teams, and they understand, the basis guys and the administrators and the security people from SAP, and they understand how the Power Platform works, how we can control from all the different levels the security. They're happy. They're happy to let them go and do their stuff.
Nice.
Cool. Well, Marysol, thank you very, very much for joining us today and presenting this. I think this is really fantastic, and maybe sometimes in the future you can join us again and talk about some additional scenarios, maybe some new customer projects.
Happy to do so. Big fan,
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good. Then I think we're done for today. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, and talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good to have you. Bye.